Hi everyone, my name is Beth. I'm a librarian at the Weinberg Library in Mequon, and today I wanted to talk with you about a couple of services you can use to video chat or video call with friends and family members. For obvious reasons, this year we have all had to get pretty familiar with the act of video chatting, meaning calling someone using a computer or a smartphone and talking to them over the internet so that they can see your face and you can see theirs. You might have used FaceTime if you have an iPhone. You may have used Facebook Messenger or Skype on an iPhone or an Android phone. And on a computer, you might have used Zoom, which is a very well-known video chatting service. Today I want to talk about Zoom. I'm going to talk about how to create an account if you don't already have one, how to schedule and host a meeting, and some of the settings within meetings that you can use to make them work the way you want them to. Then I'm going to talk about an alternative to Zoom called Jitsi Meet, which is nice because you don't actually have to have an account for Jitsi Meet, and you don't have to go through the trouble of scheduling meetings. You can just sort of start one and go. So it's a little bit simpler than Zoom, a little less secure. So I'll talk about some of the differences and similarities between the two, just to give you an alternative to Zoom, but also a better understanding of exactly how it works. Now, like I said, you've probably heard of Zoom before, even if you haven't wound up using it during this year. Zoom is technically a service that is designed for companies and businesses. A lot of individual people are using it right now to video chat with family members and friends across the country, but they are intended for sort of professional business settings. And for that reason, they actually offer different pricing plans for their service. So the basic free Zoom account, you can get a basic free Zoom account, lets you host meetings, which is their word for like a video chat or a video call, for up to 100 participants, which will probably suit you just fine, but only for up to 40 minutes. And after 40 minutes, the meeting would end and you'd have to start a new one to continue talking. For $15 a month, you can still host up to 100 people, and your meetings can last up to 30 hours long, which is going to be plenty of time. So if you're planning to do like a 3-hour family meeting every week and just keep up with each other that way, this $15 a month license might be a good idea for you, if everybody in the family goes in on it or something. But otherwise, the free option is good for nice short meetings or for meetings where you don't mind sort of stopping and starting partway through. And I will show you what that kind of looks like a little bit later. These $20 a month and $30 a month licenses for most individuals are not really going to be relevant. I would think about either the free option or the $15 option. So if you'd like to sign up for Zoom, either come to this plans and pricing page and click buy now if you're ready to go ahead and buy a license, or you can come to the plans and pricing page and click sign up, it's free, or you can say sign up, it's free here in the top right corner. You'll be asked for your date of birth. This is just to make sure you're old enough to be using the service. They will not save this information anywhere, so don't worry about that. And then you'll be asked for your email address, your password, and some other information that they'll use to personalize the account for you, like your name and where you live and things like that. As part of the sign-up process, you'll probably be asked for things like a work email address. You might be asked what department you work in or what business you work at. A personal email is fine. You do not have to put a work email in, especially if you don't have one at all. And you don't have to tell them where you work. Again, this service is designed to be used by companies and businesses. So all of their phrasing and all of their framing in this sign-up process is geared toward that angle. That doesn't mean you have to do it. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily relevant to you. It's just a quirk of the system being the way that it is. So once you've created your Zoom account, you can sign into it by clicking sign in the top right corner here. And you do that by putting in the email address that you provided at the beginning of the session, and then the password that you created, and then clicking sign in. Once you're signed in, you will be taken to your profile page. When you're ready to actually start talking with folks, the easiest way to do that is actually to schedule a meeting in advance and then send everyone the information about the meeting so that they know when to expect it and when to turn up. To do that, near the top right corner of the screen, you would click on Schedule a Meeting, and then that takes you to this screen. You can just leave the topic or the title of the meeting as my meeting, or you can call it something like the Smith family catch-up session or the Smith family meeting or whatever. You can put in a description, and then you'd want to decide when the meeting's taking place. So what day and what time, AM, PM, whatever. By default, the duration of the meeting is set to an hour. Keep in mind, again, if you're using a free Zoom account, you do have a 40-minute limit on meetings with 3 or more participants, like this says. And then there's this security section. So one of the issues that came up when a lot of folks started using Zoom at the beginning of the pandemic is that people would do something called Zoom bombing. So if you know the meeting ID for a meeting, or you can guess the meeting ID for a meeting in Zoom, you can potentially join that meeting even if you're not technically invited. Without a passcode and a waiting room to make sure that the meeting is secure and open only to those folks that you want to see, people could just jump in and post terrible things and say terrible things and do terrible things on camera and then leave, and you wouldn't have any way to stop them from coming back. You wouldn't have any way to punish them for doing what they did. So Zoom instituted these 2 limitations. By default, these boxes are checked. So there is a passcode associated with every single Zoom meeting. And what that means is that you have to individually invite people to come to your meeting, and they can only get in if they have the link you sent them. And I will show you what that means in a second. So leave this box checked. And then there's the waiting room, which just ensures that anytime someone tries to join in on your meeting, you can see who they are before they're allowed to come in and turn on their camera and turn on their microphone and start talking. And so you can individually let them in or reject them if you do or don't recognize who they are. It's a good idea to keep this box checked and always have the waiting room turned on just to be safe. But if you're comfortable, you can uncheck the box. I would not uncheck the passcode box under any circumstances, though. You just don't want to risk it. People get really nasty. Finally, under meeting options, you can check or uncheck the box beside mute participants upon entry. If it's checked, that means that anyone who joins the meeting will be muted, so you won't be able to hear them talk. It'll basically turn off the microphone on their computer or their smartphone. If you want everyone to be able to talk right away, you can uncheck this box. It's more useful to mute everyone if you are doing a presentation of some kind than it is if you're just meeting up to chat. So generally, I would leave this box unchecked. Once you have everything set up the way you want it, click Save. And you'll be taken to this confirmation screen. So these are the details about your meeting. You can see what time it is, what day it is. Once you've created the meeting, then you need to start inviting people to it. And the way to do that is to go down here to this section of the screen, this Invite Link section. And over to the right, you're going to click Copy Invitation. And you'll see this creates a meeting invitation for you to send to folks. So it gives them all the details they need to know. On a computer or a smartphone, they can click on this link directly and it'll take them straight into the meeting. Scrolling down a little bit farther, if they don't have a computer or a smartphone and they want to call in, they can do that by dialing one of the numbers listed here. And then they'll be asked for the meeting's ID number, which would be this one, or whatever it is, because this is randomly generated every time. And the passcode, which is also randomly generated every time. So this is all critical information for your attendees to know. So you clicked Copy Invitation, this meeting window opened, and now you're going to say Copy Meeting Invitation. And it pops up and says that it's been copied to clipboard. Now what you would do is go into your email account and send this invitation as a message. If I go into my email and click Compose or New Email or New Message, it opens up this message screen. I can address the email to whoever I want to invite to the meeting. That might be coworkers in this case. It might be a family member or a bunch of friends. So let's say I'm going to invite Chelsea and Molly. They're both librarians here. I can add a subject line. Let's say Zoom meeting details. And then if I right-click in the white space down here, this is the body of my message. If I right-click, I can say Paste. And all of those details that we saw on that Zoom screen before, this one right here, have now all landed in this email. And again, this is everything they need to know to join the Zoom meeting when they're ready. So now all I would have to do is click send, and when they get this message, they'll know we have a meeting at 3 o'clock on February 17th. They can click on the link to get there, or they can call into one of these numbers to get there. And then once I'm done here, back at the Zoom page, I can either click cancel or click the X to close that window. When I'm ready to start my meeting, I'm going to go up to the right side of the screen here and click My Account. On the left, I'm going to click on Meetings. And here's my upcoming meeting, and when I'm ready, I would just click Start. Now I've been taken to a page where I'm being prompted by my browser, Open Zoom Meetings. So I could say Open Zoom Meetings. If the little pop-up window had not come up here, I could also say Launch Meeting to prompt it to go. What clicking on either of these buttons is going to do is it's going to open the actual dedicated Zoom software, which is called the Zoom client. And by running meetings in that client, you can do a lot more things than you can by just running it inside of your internet browser. So you do have the option of clicking cancel and saying join from your browser and running the meeting that way. But it's generally better to do it by clicking launch meeting or open Zoom meetings because there's a lot more options available to you. So I'm going to click launch meeting. If I didn't already have the Zoom client installed, which I wouldn't necessarily if I've never used it before, once I click launch meeting, it will install itself. It'll ask me to log into my Zoom account, and then the meeting will start. Because I already have Zoom installed, I'm going to click launch meeting and then open Zoom meetings. Now my meeting screen has opened, so I don't have my camera turned on right now, so all I can see is my name. I am being prompted to join with computer audio, so basically Zoom is asking for permission to use my microphone. So I'm going to say join with computer audio. And then it lets me know you're using the computer's audio. Good, that's great. So now I'm in the meeting and I am the host, so I have control over who can come in and various things like that. At the bottom of the screen, I've got a bunch of different options. One is this mute button. If I click on mute, that mutes my audio, and I can tell that I'm muted because of this little red microphone with the slash through it down here. You might mute yourself if something is going on in the background. Maybe someone else in the house is talking or your dog started barking. You don't want to disrupt anybody else's conversation, so you mute yourself quickly. And then whenever you're ready to talk, you would just click on unmute, and then your microphone will turn back on and everyone will be able to hear you again. Right next to the mute button, you can see I have this little video camera icon. Right now it says start video because my video is off. So if I click on start video, then you can see me. Hi. So now you could see me if we were video chatting together using Zoom. And I can also click stop video to turn the video off again. Again, reasons why you might want to turn it on or off. Maybe something's going on in the background. Maybe there's something strange happening. Maybe the room is really dark and people can't really see your face. Maybe your connection is bad. Maybe you can't really hear anyone or things are really choppy. Turning off your video can help with that. It can help your internet connection handle Zoom a little bit better. This little upward arrow beside start video also gives you some options. So I'm going to turn myself back on so you can see. If I click on this upward arrow, I have the option to choose a virtual background or a video filter. So if I click on virtual background, now I get a preview of myself. And I can choose various virtual backgrounds based on what settings are enabled on my computer. So right now I'm not actually being prompted to use any particular virtual backgrounds that are already uploaded in Zoom, presumably because my computer isn't compatible with them. But if I clicked the plus symbol over here, then I could add a picture or a video behind me to kind of block out what is actually behind me so that folks could only see that. So if I traveled at some point to Hawaii and I had a beautiful picture of the beach, I could say add image, get that picture of the beach, and then people would see me as if I was sitting there, and it would kind of be cute. If people are walking back and forth behind you, or if you're in a busy place and something's going on and you don't want people to get distracted, adding an image or a video behind you is a good way to stop them from being distracted. If you choose a background and then you want to turn it off, you just click none. And the background will disappear. And then you would click the X in the top right corner. Similarly, if I click this upward arrow and then say choose video filter, again, I'm not being prompted with any because my computer isn't compatible with them, but if it was, I would see some filters listed here. These are things like color filters and like images that appear over your face, emojis and things like that. They're just cute and funny. You may have seen the video that was going around recently of the gentleman who was a lawyer who had on a video filter to make himself look like a cat, things like that. So that is an option as well. Same thing as with the virtual background. If you want to turn a filter off, you just go in here and click None, and then click the X, and it'll go away. Also down here at the bottom of the screen are some security options. So if I click on this shield, it opens up a menu. So I can enable or disable the waiting room from here. So if I clicked on Enable Waiting Room, that check mark beside would disappear, and that means that anyone who joins the meeting now will be able to join right away. I won't have control over who comes in. This Participants button, if I click on that, it opens this menu on the right side of the screen, and I can see the participants. Here I am. If people come into the waiting room, they'll show up in this menu on the top of this screen. Esther is waiting in the waiting room. Now that I've put my cursor over her name, I can either admit her or remove her. If I remove her, then she will see a message that says you were not allowed into the meeting. Please contact the host if this is not correct. Otherwise, she is currently sitting at a screen that says something to the effect of, please wait until the host lets you in. So once I click admit, she'll be able to join the meeting and either see me or hear me, depending on her settings. So she's here now. I currently have the screen set up such that I can see everyone in the meeting at once. By default, Zoom actually shows you whoever is talking at a given time. So whoever's making noise, it will try to figure out who's making the most noise, basically, and put them center screen. To switch to that view, if you'd prefer it, you can click View up in the top right corner, and then say Speaker View, which is that view where Esther, apparently it's decided, is the louder one, so she's been named as the main speaker, and she's here in the center of the screen, whereas I can see myself up at the top. That is Speaker View versus Gallery View, where you can see everybody at once. So if there's 10 people in the room, quote unquote, and you want to be able to see them all, clicking View and then switching to Gallery View might be the way to go. If you want to invite someone else, if you forgot to email Uncle Joe, and now you need to send him a quick email with the link so that he can get into the meeting, you can mouse over Participants and click this upward arrow and then say Invite. And then from here, you can just click Copy Invitation. It'll tell you the invitation's been copied to the clipboard, and then you would go back to your email and email Uncle Joe, right-click in the body of the email, click Paste, and then send it to him, and he'll be able to get in. So just following the instructions we talked about before. Down here at the bottom of the screen, I can also click Chat to open the chat box, which opens up on the right here. So this is where you could type in messages to everyone. You could say, oh, no, my microphone went out. Oh, I can't really hear. I can't really see you. What's going on? So if something like weird technologically is happening, you can fix it by typing a message right in here. You can also record meetings. You can make reactions. So if you click on this, it'll prompt you with some emojis you might choose. So if, instead of doing like a verbal reaction, maybe you're muted because something noisy is happening, you can react this way. And you can say share your screen. If you share your screen, you will be prompted to choose either which section of the screen you want to share, or you can share the whole thing. So this is useful. It's most often used obviously for presentations, for showing PowerPoints, but if you wanted to show like a Facebook album of pictures that you just put up from your trip, you could go in here and share the screen with everyone so they can see the pictures all at once. When you're ready to end your meeting in Zoom, you go down to the bottom right corner and click End. If you say Leave Meeting, then you will leave the meeting, but everyone else will be able to keep talking. The meeting will end once everyone has left. Or you can say End Meeting for All, and that will kick everybody out right away, and the meeting will be over. I'm going to say End Meeting for All. And then you get taken here. You can click the X and close Zoom. And just get away from this page whenever you're ready. So that is Zoom. Again, everything I just talked about is linked in the handout in the description below. So now let's talk about Jitsi Meet. So Jitsi Meet is very, very much like Zoom. It's a very similar service, but it's a little bit easier to use and a little bit more straightforward. The way that Jitsi Meet works, you do not have to have an account. They still call video chats meetings, but they're based around meeting rooms. So what you would do is you would set up a meeting room for yourself and several other people, and then those people could join you in that room and talk for as long as you want to. It's totally free. There's nothing to download. There's no accounts to be made. There's no paid version. You just come to the website meet.jit.si, which is again in your handout. You click into this white box and you can type in really anything you want. You can see here that they are suggesting some random names that you might use for your room. You don't have to choose any of these though. You could say like the Smith family Robinson, because we're funny. 1, 2, 3. Just as an example. You don't have to put in numbers. You can do as generic as you want. And then you can say start meeting. Now it's asking me for permission to use my microphone and my camera, so I'm going to say allow. Hello again. You can see me again. So now I'm being prompted to put in my name, which is already here because I've used this before. So hello, I'm Beth. So you just click join meeting. And now we're here. So just like with Zoom, if you want to mute your microphone, you can do so by clicking on the microphone down at the bottom of the screen. You can also turn on or turn off your video by clicking the video camera at the bottom of the screen. So I've now turned my video off. To invite people to your meeting in Jitsi Meet, because you're not scheduling a meeting, because you're not doing anything in advance, you're just going in and starting the meeting, you do it once you're in. So now I'm in the meeting, I'm in the meeting room. So now it's time to invite some folks. And I can do that by clicking invite more people at the top of the screen here. Then I'm going to mouse over here where it says copy meeting link, and I'm going to left click on it. It says the link has been copied to the clipboard. Now I could go to my email, just like we did before, write a new email, put in the participants that I want. Then I can say in the body of the email something like, hey, let's have a meeting in Jitsi Meet. And I could right click in the body of the email and click paste. And this link would show up in the email. And all anyone would have to do is click on it to get here and get into the meeting room. If folks don't have computers or don't have smartphones and they want to call in instead, you would give them this phone number and this unique PIN for this particular meeting room. So having this link or calling this number with this PIN will get you into the meeting room and you can talk to whoever is there. I'm going to click the X to get out of this. Now the thing is, by default, anybody can come in and out if they have that link, or they guess the link, or they call that number. But, just like with Zoom, you do have some options to make it more secure. So down here in the bottom right corner, if you click on the little security badge here, that opens up this window. So you could enable a lobby, which is treated just like the waiting room in Zoom. So if I toggle this on, then anyone who tries to enter this meeting room after I've toggled this on will see a message that they're in the lobby and they need to wait until I let them in. I can also add a password, so I can click add password and type in a string of numbers or a string of letters, and then click add, and anyone who comes in at that point would need to wait until I let them in and put in the password, or vice versa, right? I could do either or I could do both. It's more secure to do both, even if your password is something as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4. And obviously make sure you tell your participants what the password is. But this is a good idea. It's a good idea to turn on the lobby. It's a good idea to enable a password to stop random people from dropping in on you, even by accident. Especially if you name your meeting room something like Smith Family or Smith Family Meeting. If you do something really generic, you're probably going to get people who just kind of stumble on you because they're trying to do their own Smith Family Meeting or whatever. So having the lobby and the password set up means that you can control who comes in at any given time. I'm going to click the X now. Some other things you'll see at the bottom of the screen here. You can open the chat box by clicking on this speech bubble. Similar to Zoom, you can type a message and hit enter to send it, and then folks will be able to see it here. So if you're having technical difficulties or something else is going on, then you can also click the X to close it. To share your screen, you would click on the computer monitor down here, and just like with Zoom, it pops up and says, do you want to share the entire screen, or just the application window, or just a particular tab or window in your browser. And then all the way on the right side of the screen over here, under More Actions, you also have some other options buried in here, including in the settings, where you can go in and change your display name, upload a profile picture, and things like that. Once you turn on the lobby, if someone then tries to join your meeting, you'll see them show up on the left-hand side of the screen here. They're listed as a knocking participant. And just like in Zoom, you can either allow them to come in or you can reject them. If you reject them, they'll get a message that says you weren't allowed in. If you allow them, they'll be allowed to join. So I'm going to say allow. Also like with Zoom, By default, when you have more than one person in a room with you, whoever is speaking will show up in the center of the screen, and the other people in the room will show up along the right-hand side. So I can see Esther is here and I'm here, and Esther is talking. If you want to be able to see everybody, you can see them by clicking on the tile view near the bottom right corner of the screen, and that will show them in a gallery just like we saw with Zoom. And you can also toggle it back to see just whoever is speaking at a given time. Now, I know I've said it a couple times already, but I'll say it again. The key difference between Jitsi and Zoom is that Jitsi works on a meeting room basis, not on a meeting basis. So we have created the Smith Family Robinson 123 meeting room. This meeting room is always going to exist. There's no way to close it. There's no way to delete it. There's no way to say, everybody get out. What you can do is you can click the red phone button there down at the bottom of the screen, and that will make you leave the meeting room. But Esther could stay in here and continue talking to other people as they come in and out. Unlike with Zoom, there's no way to say end meeting for all or close meeting room. When you leave, Esther or whoever's in here will stay, and they will have to leave themselves. And then if and when you come back to the Smith Family Robinson meeting room, there may be other people here, it may be empty, and you may have to reset your security settings to turn on the lobby and the passcode again so that folks can't just drop in on you. Again, just like with Zoom, all of this is in your handout, which is linked in the description below. I am going to go ahead and click leave now and get out of Jitsi. And that's it. That is a little overview of Zoom and an introduction to Jitsi Meet. Like I said before, the handout is linked in the description below. My email address is in it, so if you want to get in touch with me, please feel free to do so. I will see you again in 2 weeks on March 5th at 3 o'clock. We will be talking about cutting the cable. I'm going to go through and update that video, so maybe there will be new stuff to talk about. I'm not actually sure. It's been a little while. And hopefully I will see you then. Thank you.